Welcome to MKD Crimes, where the shadows of the past come to life. We are your guides through the darkest mysteries, the most chilling investigations, and the most gripping true crime stories from around the world. If you have a passion for the enigmatic, a fascination with the criminal mind, and a thirst for the truth, you've come to the right place. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, so you never miss a moment of the real-life mysteries waiting to be solved. Join us on a journey into the heart of darkness, because the truth is always stranger than fiction. This is MKD Crimes, where real crime meets real stories. Stay connected with us on Facebook, YouTube, and even TikTok. Let's uncover the truth together. It's Halloween night in the Rust Belt town of Oil City. 12-year-old Shauna Howe exits a Girl Scout party. Despite her best friend's offer to walk her home the extra block, Shauna decides to go alone. Little did anyone know she would never return alive. That Halloween would forever be marked by tragedy. Shauna adored Halloween, reveling in every aspect of it that year. From trick-or-treating to the festivities, she was thoroughly enamored. Eager to portray a gymnast, she had her Girl Scouts meeting scheduled for that night. Informing her mother about their plans to spread Halloween cheer at the nursing home, she swiftly got ready. With tights, a bodysuit, and gloves adorning her arms, she bid her mother farewell with a kiss and hug, expressing her love before departing. Unbeknownst to her, it would be the last time her mother would see Shauna alive. After Girl Scouts ended between 7:30 and 8 o'clock, Shauna and Joey L. departed together. However, Shauna found herself stranded as her mother had forgotten to pick her up. Exiting the alley where the meeting took place, they reached a corner where Joey L. continued straight ahead, while Shauna turned left, heading up the street alone. Around 8:30 in the evening, Shauna's stepfather grew concerned as darkness settled in. He assumed the recent time change might have led to confusion. Shauna's mother contacted him, informing him of Shauna's absence. Questioning the timing of Shauna's Girl Scout session, she expressed concern that it should have concluded by then. At approximately 9:30 p.m., concern began to mount for Shauna's whereabouts. Her mother grew uneasy, realizing that even the latest Girl Scouts party wouldn't keep her out this late. She urgently contacted Shauna's stepfather, instructing him to contact hospitals to inquire about any accidents. By the time she returned home at 10 o'clock in the evening, she was in a panic and called the police. Upon their arrival, the police initially speculated that Shauna might be lost or staying over at a friend's house, but that's when further reports started to surface. Shauna's mother overheard police radio chatter mentioning a sighting by a man named Peyton at the police barracks, reporting that he had witnessed Shauna being taken. This chilling revelation confirmed to her that Shauna had indeed been kidnapped. 2 hours earlier, Dan Patton strolled along West First Saint in Oil City when he noticed a young girl on the opposite side of the street. His attention then shifted to a tall, slender man wearing a ball cap. Suddenly, he heard a brief scream as the girl was seized and forcibly taken into a waiting car, which swiftly departed, with no cell phones available. During these years, Dan, now 8 o'clock, had to canvass door to door in search of someone to contact the police. A vigilant officer on the night shift promptly responded to assist in locating Shauna Howe. Immediately, the police erected a roadblock, questioning passers-by for any relevant information. A team of 20 to 30 law enforcement officers mobilized, scouring the streets and re-examining intersections with meticulous care. Their search extended to locating the suspect vehicle, methodically navigating through the city's streets and alleys in a systematic grid pattern. Each passing minute heightened the urgency and concern, knowing that the chances of finding a missing person alive diminish rapidly after the initial 24 hours. Shauna's parents were left in the dark, pacing the house throughout the night, their minds consumed by worry. By the following day, news of Shauna's disappearance had spread far and wide. A multitude of individuals, ranging from friends and family to complete strangers, gathered in Shauna's parents' front yard. Local residents united, organizing their own search efforts, with hundreds venturing out to comb the area for any sign of Shauna. Fear gripped the community as the collective urgency to locate Shauna weighed heavily on both the community and her parents. Despite her desperate desire to join the search, Shauna's mom was advised by the police to remain at home in case of any ransom demands, effectively confining her to the house. On October 29, 1992, 2 days following Shauna's abduction, a chilling discovery unfolded near Coulter's Hole, a remote area known for hunting and recreational activities such as swimming. Despite its secluded and private nature, it often attracted individuals engaging in underage drinking and use. As one individual was driving away from their campsite, they spotted something beneath a bridge. Shauna's parents received a call notifying them of this finding and specifically requested Shauna's stepfather to identify it. Upon his arrival, he approached the object and inspected it closely, confirming it to be Shauna's bodysuit concealed within the bushes. The suit had been exposed to the elements overnight, evident from the moisture it retained. Law enforcement swiftly responded to the scene, and upon examining the gymnastics suit, they discovered several seminal deposits. Recognizing the significance, the stains were subjected to DNA analysis, offering a crucial avenue for investigation. On October 30th, 1992, 3 days following Shauna's abduction, a pivotal development unfolded. The day after the discovery of Shauna's bodysuit, a chilling phone call reached the police station. A concerned individual, having visited a nearby cottage near Coulter's Hole, reported an eerie encounter. He recounted venturing onto the bridge and, to his horror, spotting Shauna's lifeless body below. They had also found Shauna's abandoned shoes on the bridge and a nearby candy wrapper. This sighting was particularly unsettling as law enforcement had combed the area just the day before. The circumstances surrounding Shauna's body's discovery raised grave concerns. The meticulous placement of her shoes on the bridge, facing opposite directions and seemingly untouched despite the height, suggested a calculated and sophisticated approach by the perpetrator. It was as though they were deliberately taunting law enforcement, daring them to uncover the truth. The discovery of Shauna's body on a Friday evening, cast into the darkness from the trestle over 33 feet high, bore witness to the brutality she endured. Physical evidence indicated injuries sustained prior to her fall, suggesting she was alive when thrown from the trestle, enduring a harrowing few minutes before succumbing to her fate. Shauna's mother remained unaware of her daughter's fate until her brother, Keith, arrived unexpectedly. His solemn revelation shattered her world, confirming the unimaginable truth of Shauna's demise. The stark reality sank in as Keith recounted his first-hand encounter with Shauna's lifeless body, leaving Shauna's mother grappling with the unbearable grief and disbelief. The day after Shauna's body was discovered, Halloween festivities were abruptly canceled as the community tightened its grip on child safety, with parents closely monitoring their children and keeping them indoors. For the detectives, the discovery of DNA marked the beginning of a relentless pursuit for justice. It became a race against time to find a match for the DNA, crucial for solving the case. Given the rarity of a stranger abduction compared to one involving someone acquainted with the victim, initial scrutiny fell on Shauna's family circle. Authorities conducted DNA tests on her stepfather John Brown and her uncles, even extending to Shauna's brother. It was imperative to scrutinize everyone connected to Shauna. Delving into her school life, investigators searched for any potential admirers, as well as among Shauna's peers in the Girl Scouts and their parents. Every avenue was explored in a meticulously thorough search, leaving no stone unturned. Despite exhaustive efforts, no viable matches were found, intensifying the frustration and urgency to crack the case. After over a year of relentless investigation, law enforcement still found themselves grasping at straws with no substantial leads in sight. The night of the abduction provided some clues. Witnesses mentioned a tall, slender man, possibly driving a small red car, sparking suspicion towards individuals like Bill Crabtree, the one who discovered Shauna's body. His presence in the vicinity raised eyebrows. Was he attempting to divert attention? Authorities meticulously combed through his vehicle, scrutinizing every detail and obtaining his DNA, yet found no incriminating evidence. As the investigation broadened, Ted Walker emerged as another person of interest. Known to frequent the pizza shop where he met Shauna, his peculiar behavior, including unwanted physical contact, raised red flags. Despite his acquaintance with the family and ownership of a small red car, DNA analysis ultimately cleared him of involvement. The pursuit of justice took another turn with Michael Pruitt, a neighbor whose suspicious demeanor drew attention. His abrupt departure from town following the discovery of Shauna's body catapulted him to the top of the suspect list. Law enforcement meticulously searched his residence, honing in on a cubbyhole described in witness accounts. This hidden compartment potentially served as a grim holding space for Shauna, suggesting someone kept her alive for 3 agonizing days. However, despite the intense scrutiny, DNA tests failed to implicate Pruitt or link him to the crime. The exhaustive investigation saw over 100 DNA samples collected, each representing a potential suspect, scrutinized by authorities. Despite the meticulous efforts and a mounting list of suspects, each DNA test returned negative, leaving investigators grappling with a frustrating dead end. July 30th, 1995, Oil City, Pennsylvania, 3 years after Shauna's murder. Officer Reach reached out to Chief of Police Robert Wenner, despite it being his night off, as urgent assistance was required due to an attempted abduction incident. The victim, a young girl who had been severely beaten, was now at the police station recounting her harrowing experience. According to her, she had been walking down the street when her assailant began stalking her, eventually attempting to force her into the trunk of a car. This description immediately brought Jimmy O'Brien to mind. Known to law enforcement as a sexually violent offender, Jimmy, along with his brother Tim, was notorious in town. Chief Robert Wenner had arrested the O'Briens in the past. The location of the crime, East 2nd Street, coincided with Shaunahowe's route home on the fateful night of her abduction, prompting Chief Robert to inquire if the O'Briens had been investigated in connection with Shauna's case. However, it became clear that the O'Briens couldn't have been involved in Shauna's abduction, as they were already incarcerated at the time of her disappearance. September 30th, 1996, 4 years after Shauna's murder. Still were no answers. October 29th, 1997, exactly 5 years after Shauna's murder. On October 29th, 1997, exactly 5 years after the tragic murder of Shauna Howe, a somber anniversary loomed over the town. With Halloween approaching, law enforcement ramped up patrols as a precautionary measure, haunted by the unresolved mystery of Shauna's murder and the lingering fear of her killer striking again. The community remained on edge, knowing that Shauna's perpetrator was still at large. Amidst this atmosphere of apprehension, another chilling incident unfolded. 5-year-old Shani Freeman vanished from her own backyard, sending shockwaves through the town once more. As chief of police arrived at the station, he was met with a throng of anxious individuals clamoring for answers. Fear gripped the community anew as the realization sunk in. Shauna's killer seemed to have resurfaced. The echoes of Shauna's case reverberated in the chief's mind as he grappled with the unfolding situation. The recurrence of such a horrifying crime stirred up painful memories and intensified the urgency to apprehend the perpetrator. With the specter of Shauna's unsolved murder looming large, the town braced itself for the daunting task of confronting a killer who had returned to haunt them once again. October 29, 1997, Oil City, Pennsylvania, 5 years after Shauna's murder. Exactly 5 years after the tragic murder of Shauna, her parents made a courageous decision to assist in the search for Shani Freeman, a missing 5-year-old girl who had disappeared from her own backyard. The community rallied behind the effort, exerting immense pressure on law enforcement to swiftly resolve Shani's case. With the search underway, authorities meticulously questioned individuals present during the incident, hoping to glean any valuable insights. During the search, Chief of Police Robert noticed a young man named Nicholas Bowen, whose behavior raised suspicions. Despite offering comforting words to Shani's mother, Nicholas's demeanor struck Chief Robert as peculiar. Sensing something amiss, Chief Robert approached Nicholas, who eventually broke down in tears, confessing that Shawnee had been gravely injured and was bleeding profusely. Urged by Nicholas's revelation, Chief Robert wasted no time and pressed him to lead them to Shawnee. Tragically, Shawnee was discovered buried in a shallow grave, prompting Nicholas's immediate arrest. Despite his imposing stature and young age, evidence pointed to his involvement in Shawnee's abduction and murder. However, investigations revealed that Nicholas would have been too young to have committed Shauna's murder, leading Shauna's case to eventually go cold. As time marched on, the Howe family continued to grapple with unanswered questions, their quest for justice forever intertwined with the memory of their beloved Shauna. January 1998, 6 years after Shauna's murder. In January 1998, 6 years after Shauna's tragic murder, former patrolman Rich Graham had transitioned to working as a detective with a resolve to crack the cold case of Shauna Howe's murder. Despite juggling a substantial caseload of around 72 cases, Graham dedicated his nights to meticulously reviewing every detail of Shauna's case, grappling with his dyslexia by repeatedly poring over the case materials to ensure thorough comprehension. As Graham delved deeper into the investigation, discrepancies in the autopsy photos and reports caught his attention. A peculiar mark on Shauna's cheek resembling a partial shoe print went unnoticed in the autopsy report, prompting Graham to seek the expertise of renowned medical examiner Helbert Villinger. Upon review, Villinger concurred that the mark likely indicated foul play and suggested the possibility of multiple perpetrators, given the absence of evidence suggesting Shauna had been restrained during her captivity. The revelation fueled renewed efforts by the police to revisit leads and gather additional evidence. Among the leads was Ted Walker, a recurring name linked to Shauna's case. Walker, known to frequent a local pizza place and opened his home to young kids in the area, bore a striking resemblance to the suspect description and was associated with a red Chevy Chevette, the same type of car reportedly seen near the crime scene. Suspicion mounted as investigators uncovered a past incident involving a red Chevy Chevette being set on fire, raising questions about potential evidence tampering. The police speculated that the arson was an attempt to destroy evidence potentially linking Walker to Shauna's abduction and murder. Despite the absence of a DNA match implicating Walker, the police remained vigilant, recognizing that lack of DNA evidence didn't necessarily absolve him of involvement. As the investigation intensified, Graham and his team pursued every lead with determination, driven by the unwavering commitment to deliver justice for Shauna and closure for her grieving
Walker,
family.
are you aware that this conversation is being recorded?
Yep.
And
No problems.
You do not have a problem that it's
Nope.
being recorded? Thank
Nothing
you.
to hide.
Mr. Walker was interviewed here by the state police.
How is it that you first learned of Shaunahowe's abduction?
Tim and Jim O'Brien came and told me.
Walker claimed that he learned about Shauna's case from Jim and Tim O'Brien, who allegedly visited his house, presents a challenging aspect for the investigation. Given Walker's assertion and the lack of concrete evidence to refute it, there arises a significant hurdle in verifying the accuracy of his statement. With the possibility that Walker fabricated the names of his alleged informants, the credibility of his account becomes increasingly dubious. This presents a perplexing dilemma for law enforcement, as they must navigate through layers of uncertainty while attempting to corroborate Walker's story. Without tangible evidence to substantiate or disprove his claims, investigators find themselves in a frustrating position, unable to definitively determine the validity of Walker's purported source of information. The potential fabrication of names by Walker further complicates the investigation, casting doubt on the credibility of his testimony, and necessitating meticulous scrutiny of every aspect of his involvement in Shauna's case. As investigators continue to sift through the evidence and explore leads, they remain vigilant in their pursuit of truth and justice, mindful of the challenges posed by Walker's unsubstantiated claims.
They just came running in telling me that a girl was kidnapped downtown.
Ted Walker's assertion that he learned about Shauna's abduction from the O'Briens sparked Detective Graham's curiosity. Upon consulting Chuck Daly, who affirmed that the O'Briens were incarcerated at the time of Shauna's disappearance, Graham realized there was no documented proof of their jail time. Suspecting a potential oversight, Graham enlisted the help of Trooper John McLean to verify the O'Brien's incarceration status. To Graham's dismay, McLean's investigation revealed that the O'Briens had posted bail and were not in jail during the period of Shauna's abduction. With this newfound information, suspicions surrounding the O'Briens intensified. Tim O'Brien's incarceration for sexual assault and Jim O'Brien's arrest for attempted abduction further fueled Graham's determination to gather evidence. During a brief interview with Tim at the county jail, Graham requested a DNA sample for the Shauna Howe case. Tim's hesitation and mention of consulting his attorney only heightened Graham's suspicions. As Graham prepared to depart, he noticed a candy wrapper, sending shivers down his spine. Convinced that the O'Briens held crucial information regarding Shauna's abduction, Graham was resolute in obtaining their DNA samples. With renewed determination, Graham believed they were finally on the verge of uncovering Shauna's killers and bringing long-awaited closure to her case. In February 2002, in Oil City, Pennsylvania, a decade after Shauna's murder, significant progress was made in the investigation. Early in the month, Detective Graham received results from the crime lab regarding DNA samples. Jim O'Brien's DNA was a match for Shauna's murder case, providing a crucial breakthrough. The connection to Jim O'Brien was initially suggested by Ted Walker, further solidifying the case. As the pieces of the puzzle fell into place, it became evident that 3 individuals were involved: Jim and Tim O'Brien, along with Ted Walker. Recognizing his role, Ted Walker was arrested as an accessory to Shauna Howe's homicide, marking a significant development in the long-standing case.
We're going to take this back to 1992. We know that a witness saw somebody walk up to Shauna Howe. Isn't that right? And who was that person the witness saw?
Me.
Right. So you walk up to her, and as you're approaching her, you ask her what?
She was on Girl Scouts.
Okay. And why do you ask her that?
Because I like working Girl Scouts.
Right, I know that. But
Just make her feel at ease.
make her feel at ease. Then what do you do?
Well, I grab a hold of her and take her
Did you grab her? How did
around the shoulder,
you grab her?
carry it out, hand her to Tim.
You hand her to Tim.
Walker was the individual who handed Shauna over to someone else during the abduction, while another person was driving the car. Thus, all 3, Jim and Tim O'Brien and Ted Walker, were implicated in the incident.
You get back to your house. What's the next thing that happens?
They come in carrying Shauna and going up the steps.
Jim and Tim O'Brien, along with Ted Walker, viewed Shauna as nothing more than their personal playground before abducting and ultimately killing her.
Once they got upstairs, I heard her screaming and struggling. Leave me go, get off me.
During a separate interrogation, Ted Walker recalled that while he, along with the O'Briens, abducted Shauna and took her to their house, he instructed the O'Briens to keep Shauna quiet. When the O'Briens asked how to achieve this, Walker suggested getting her some candy.
We picked Halloween night. It was only supposed to be a prank.
Aside from Ted Walker, the O'Briens remained tight-lipped and never confessed to their involvement in Shauna's case to the police. Law enforcement theorized that after abducting Shauna, she was assaulted by Tim Walker and the O'Briens upstairs before they left for Coulter's Hole. The presence of DNA on Shauna's bodysuit suggested she was assaulted again at Coulter's Hole, leaving her with no clothing. It's believed she was then kept in the trunk of their car overnight, resulting in brush burns on her knees, likely from the car's carpet. Police identified Jim as the alpha male and Tim as his follower, while Ted Walker played the role of a dim-witted accomplice. However, there's suspicion that Walker may have been the mastermind behind Jim's actions. At some point, the O'Briens and Walker seemingly decided to dispose of Shauna to evade capture for her abduction, leading them to throw her off the trestle. Ted Walker was convicted of kidnapping and third-degree murder. He was sentenced to 40 years in prison. Jim and Tim O'Brien were found guilty of kidnapping and murder. They were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The detectives of Oil City deliver justice as O'Briens and Ted Walker are in prison for the murder of Shauna Howe. And after 13 years, the whole family finally has the truth and hopefully some kind of peace. Thank you for joining us on this captivating journey through the world of true crime. We hope you've enjoyed our stories as much as we've enjoyed sharing them with you. We're grateful for your support. And if you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Stay connected with us on Facebook, YouTube, and even TikTok, where we discuss more cases, share updates, and engage with our incredible community. Your feedback and comments fuel our passion for unraveling mysteries, so keep sharing your thoughts and suggestions. We love hearing from you. And be sure to stay tuned for more spine-tingling stories, thrilling investigations, and mind-bending mysteries in the episodes to come. Until next time, remember, the truth is out there, waiting to be discovered. Stay curious, stay safe, and stay tuned for more from MKD Crimes.